first grade. Today we will be telling time to the half hour. Today I will learn to tell time to the half hour, to tell time in standard notation. Remember, there are two types of clocks, the analog clock and the digital clock. Remember, the analog clock is going to have moving hands, and it is also going to be numbered from 1 to 12. The digital clock, on the other hand, will not have moving hands and will show its digital numbers. I've given you two examples of the clocks, so one of the analog clock with the hands and one of the digital clock with just the digital numbers. Today we're going to continue learning about the clock, and today we will have to remember how to count by 5. So we will be practicing counting by 5s when we are telling time. There are two things that we need to learn before we can get started, and those two things are, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. That means that from start, that's 12, going all the way around the clock, if you count by 5s, you will hit 60. So let's try. So find your minute hand. Remember, your minute hand is the big hand. Find it. Where is it? It's on the 12. That's right. So remember 12, that's 0. Now if we move the minute hand to the 1, we count 5. If we move the minute hand to the 2, that's 10. That means 10 minutes. If we move that minute hand to the 3, that's 15. That means 15 minutes. Minute hand to the 4, 20. Minute hand to the 5, 25. Minute hand to the 6, 30. Minute hand to the 7, 35. Minute hand to the 8, 40. Minute hand to the 9, 45. Minute hand to the 10, 50. Minute hand to the 11, 55. Now here comes the tricky part. If we move that minute hand to the 12, after we say 55, we would say 60. We're starting all over again. So from the 12 all the way around the clock, if we count by 5s, we will see there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. It's important to understand that as that minute hand is making its way around the clock, the hour hand, that short hand, is getting closer to the next number on the clock. So if that minute hand is making its way around, where is that hour hand going to get closer to? What number? It's on the 1. So as it's the minute hand is moving, where's the hour hand going to get closer to? The 2. Okay, so by the time that minute hand makes its way all the way back to the 12, that means the hour hand is now pointed at the 2. An hour has passed. We also need to understand that there are 30 minutes in 1 half hour. Look at this clock on your screen. Think of a favorite food that you may have that has that shape, that is circular. You might say, a cookie, maybe a pizza, maybe a cake. All those things could be round in shape. So when we say half hour, think of if I said, cut that cake in half. You would give me 2 pieces, right? 2 big pieces. So if we cut this clock in half to get the half hour, we're just going to cut it in half from top to bottom. We'd start at the 12, and if we cut it in half, use your finger, cut. Where would the half hour be? It would be on the 6. Half of the clock is 30 minutes. So let's try that though. Let's see. So remember, there are 30 minutes in 1 half hour. So let's start at the 12 again, because that's where the minute hand is. And we're going to count by 5s until we hit 30. And I want you to tell me what number we stop on. Are you ready? All right. Minute hand moves to the 1, 5. Minute hand moves to the 2, 10. Minute hand moves to the 3, 15. Minute hand moves to the 4, 20. Minute hand moves to the 5, 25. Minute hand moves to the 6, 30. Where did we stop, guys? Remember I said stop at 30. Yes, we stopped on the 6. So if we're telling time to the half hour, that means a lot of our clocks today are going to have the minute hand pointed at the 6. And then your hour hand is going to be pointed at the hour. So let's practice a little bit. Let's learn a little bit. Remember, we are counting by 5, so don't forget that, guys. All right, so if you look at the clocks on the screen, there are 2 clocks. Again, I gave you both an analog clock and a digital clock. And both of these clocks do show the same time. They show the time 2:30. Now, if you look at the analog clock, you see that the hour hand, the little hand, is halfway between the 2 and the 3. That means it's not pointed straight at the 2 and it's not pointed at the 3. It's in the middle, halfway in between. And the minute hand, the big hand, is halfway around the clock. That means it's made its way halfway around the clock. See that yellow part? Yes, it's halfway around the clock, which means it stopped on the 30. Okay, remember we're counting by 5s. This is very important. I know this can get confusing. The minute hand tries to confuse us a little bit. And we want to say, oh, the hour hand's pointed at 2, it's 2, and the minute is 6, but we would be wrong. That minute hand, remember, wants to trick us, and we have to be the smart first graders that we are and say, no, no, minute hand, that is not correct. I need to count by 5s to find the answer. So let's try this. Are you ready? So let's start at the 12, and we're going to stop where that minute hand is. But remember, we're counting by 5s, and we love counting by 5s. We've done it in the class. I know you can do it at home. Are you ready? All right, from 12 to 1, it's 5. Then we go to 2, 10. Then we go to 3, 15. Then we go to 4, 20. Then we go to 5, 25. Then we go to 6, 30. So the minute hand did not trick us this time. We know that that is 30. That minute hand is on the 6, which means it's 30, not 6, 30. And we know the hour hand is pointed, hasn't said hello to the 3 yet. It's still on the 2. Until it says knocks on the door for number 3, we cannot say it's 3:30. We can say it's 2:30. Now look over at the analog clock. You see it says 2:30. Remember, it's just writing what we're saying. So if we look at the analog clock and we see the hours 2, that's where that 2 comes from on the analog clock. And if we look at that on the analog clock again and we see that the 6 is 30, that's where that 30 is coming from on the digital clock. So, and I think I might have said that wrong just a minute ago, first grade. So let me restate this. Look at the analog clock. You see that hour hand? It's pointing at the 2. It hasn't said hello to the 3. So that's where that 2 is coming from on the digital clock. And then that minute hand is pointed at the 6. Remember, we count by 5s. So it's not 6, it's going to be 30. That's where the 30 is coming from on the digital clock. Now, there are different ways of saying this time. You can say, of course, just simply 2:30. Or you could say 2:30, because look, it's half past the 2. It's halfway on the clock. We cut that clock halfway. Past 2. 2 is the hour. Or we could say it's 30 minutes, which when we count by 5s, we know 6 is the 30. 30 minutes after the hour 2 o'clock. You can do this, guys. It seems hard, but I know you can do it. Let's practice. Okay, first grade, we're going to practice. Now, I've given you 3 clocks. I've given you an analog clock, and I've given you a digital clock. We are going to look at the analog clock and figure out the time. Then we're going to write it. Then we're going to write it as a digital time. So let's see if we can do this. Are you ready? Number 1. We have, of course, an analog clock that clearly has 2 hands. And we see that the hour hand is pointed halfway between the 10 and the 11. So it is half past, and we have to figure out our hour. Is it on the 10 or the 11? I want you to look at the clock. Has that hour hand said hello to the 11? Has it knocked on the 11 door? Has it said hello? No, it has not. It's in between. It said hello to the 10, but it has not said hello to the 11 yet. So since it hasn't said hello to the 11, it is still 10. The hour is 10. So it is half past 10. Trace that 10 for me in your book, please. Now, the rectangle at the bottom is your digital time. Now, what is our hour? Remember, our hour comes first. Well, you just told me what the hour was. It's 10. And what are the minutes? Don't tell me 6. Remember, we count by 5s. That minute hand likes to trick us. So let's count by 5, starting at the 12 and working our way to the 6. Are you ready? Count by 5s. We're at the 1, 5, 2, 10, 3, 15, 4, 20, 5, 25, 6, 30. So how many minutes? 30 minutes. So in that digital clock box at the bottom, I want you to trace the 10 and the 30. So 10 comes first, that's your hour. The 30 is your minutes. Now let's look at number 2. Number 2 has the 2 hands. And we're looking at this. Now we know this. We did this in our last video. What is the hour? Remember, the hour hand is the little hand. It's pointed to the what number? Yes, the 11. So it is 11. Write 11 on that line. And again, all of these practice problems are in your book. So please fill it in. So we write 11 on the line. So it is 11 o'clock. Now let's fill in our digital clock. What is your hour? Remember, your hour comes first, and it's missing in this box. What is your hour? You just told me. Yes, 11. So write 11, and then trace your zeros. Because remember, o'clock means 0, 0. Repeat it. O'clock means 0, 0. Let's go back to number 1. What does half past mean? Half past means 30. Half past means 30. Repeat after me. Half past means 30. Good job. And let's go back to number 3. Number 3 is the yellow clock. It's the last one we're going to do together, and then I'm going to let you guys practice on your own. Look at the 2 hands. Find the hour hand. Remember, the hour hand is the small hand, the short hand. Where is it going? Where is it pointing to? This one could trick you again because remember, it's not pointing directly at the number. It's halfway between 2 numbers. Has that hour hand said hello to the 11? Yes. Has that hour hand said hello to the 12? No. So what is the hour? It is 11. What are your minutes? Remember, count by 5s. It's 30. So let's look at number 3. Blank minutes after blank. So how many minutes did we say? Remember, let's count. Minute hand is the big hand. 1, 5, 2, 10, 3, 15, 4, 20, 5, 25, 6, 30. So how many minutes? 30 minutes. So write 30 on that line for me. 30 minutes after, what is your hour? Remember, we just talked about this. It's still saying hello to the 11. Write 11 on that line. Now let's go to our digital clock. We're going to write 11 first because that's our hour. Remember, the hour always comes first. Hour. And then what's our minutes? 30. So it is 11:30. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today. You have to continue practicing. I know I did assign some book pages, some textbook pages for you to work on to practice this. So keep up the great work, and I'll talk to you next time.